First, let me introduce myself. So I'm Major Tony Perez with AFWorks. I was a KC-10 pilot at Travis Air Force Base. Thank you, Sandy. And so, did some stuff at Travis to encourage this grassroots innovation stuff. And that enabled me to work with AFWorks and try to span what we're doing in AMC, empowering squadron level airmen, and now we're spreading it across not just AMC, but to the other MAGCOMs across the Air Force. And with me, Lieutenant Colonel Nate Kitsky.
Hey, good morning, everyone. And I'm representing Air Mobility Command staff in AMC A58. And I'll tell you, Tony here, his crew at Travis Air Force Base about 2 years ago engaged our former AMC commander and showed him some amazing things that Travis had been working on, actually for quite a couple years. And there's been a lot of innovation that's been developing with the airmen out of the 60th Air Mobility Wing, the 349th Reserve Wing, and the CRW at Travis. And so this all started with these airmen getting in front of our general officers and showing them what they could do. And then from that point, we started a Phoenix Spark process out of the staff, and we let Travis kind of lead the way with this. And at the staff, I was up there leading our airmen and civilians, and we started paving a path for how we could support some of these projects that were coming out of Travis.
All right, so with that, I think we have all our judges ready. Ma'am, sir, we're good to go? All right, so here we have all our judges, so we're gonna kick off the Spark Tank competition.
All right. Okay, so we got intros knocked out, and for the next hour, everybody, we're going to be talking about the innovative ideas that have been coming out of Air Mobility Command and out of the Air Force. And I'll tell you, just over the last couple months, seeing all these submissions, it's been quite impressive. So I'm going to go into kind of how this whole went out. Is there anything you wanted to add from your first thing before I go?
And so, what is this all about? So really, this is empowering and recognizing that our frontline operators in any career field, there are pain points that you experience that, given the appropriate resources, you might actually be able to take your idea and solve it and enhance operations and readiness within your organizations. And so what you're gonna see today is examples of 4 airmen who have done just that. Take an idea from the squadron level, went up to the group, wing, and now they're at the MAGCOM level. The 2 finalists today, as chosen by our judges, are gonna go on to the Air Force level competition, a Spark Tank at AFA in February, which is an AFWorks sponsored event. And so this is really exciting. So AMC last year was the winner of the AFA Air Force level event. A Master Sergeant, boom operator, who had been working on a instructor boom seat cushion for over 5 years, and he got nowhere with it. He was empowered to pitch this idea to the Secretary of the Air Force. She liked it, she said, let's do it. With that support, he took an idea that he had run into hurdles for the last 5 years. He went to the AFWorks facility in Las Vegas in a 4-day design sprint with people from the SPO, with people that were experiencing problems, so the actual end user, and then actual manufacturers. They created a solution that cost $1,100, while the SPO had actually budgeted $5,000 for that project. So think about those cost savings, think about how quickly those accelerated those results. So really excited to see what happens out of AMC this year, knowing the track record from last year.
All right, so let's kick this off. We had 74 submissions come from Air Mobility Command. The wing commanders took those submissions, whittled it down to 34, and then those submissions went up to AMC staff. From there, we had our experts in legal, contracting, finance, as well as every A staff and the secretariat of our Phoenix Spark group, the AMC A4 deputy. And from there, we took the best 10 ideas, and we want to present and show those to you today. So what we're going to do, and I'll tell you too, we took a lot of considerations came into these ideas. It came into how can we implement? Is this possible? Can we support this? Can we possibly transition this? And then mission-wise, does this help in our full spectrum readiness? This is going to help us bring more efficiency, save you time as airmen, as well as, is this going to help us operate in agile and challenging environments that we know we're going to have to operate in the future? And I think you're going to see some of that in these top 4 that you see today. But first, we're going to give you the 6 semifinalists. This is 5th place through 10th place, and we're going to show them now, and we're going to give them some recognition. And from here on out, you're going to see a lot of connecting for these projects you're going to see online. AFWorks is going to try to help connect these innovators and help get them started in different ways, and the AMC staff is going to figure out how we could, if it needs higher level support, that's the kind of the question, then what do we need to do to help make that happen and transition that idea. So first off, here's our first one we wanted to show as a semifinalist. This is Master Sergeant Timothy Schrock from the 726th Air Mobility Squadron out of Ramstein Air Force Base, Germany. So mixed reality training solution to supplement conventional live training using handheld wearable equipment. This enables frontline supervisors, maintenance, and other partners to enhance task, knowledge, understanding when aircraft aren't available to support that live training with an actual aircraft. So this is going to save us time and money by not having to use our actual assets using VR and AR.
All right, so next we have Master Sergeant Dan Leonard out of Scott Air Force Base. So his idea was in the AOC. So what he wanted to do was digitize all the continuity binders, all the folders, all the traditional paper material in order to augment and accelerate the training of the AOC community.
All right, and next we have Colonel J.B. Nast, Colonel Al-Said von Balraith, and Major Steve Vela. And they're the 60th Medical Group from Travis Air Force Base. And what they designed was they collaborated on a modified commercial off-the-shelf medical CPAP machine that would be deployable, and it would enable airmen to, with sleep apnea, to go to places like Turkey, places where we cannot send airmen, and we have to find other airmen to be able to go execute that mission, where that CPAP machine would normally need reliable energy.
All right, so next up, this is a team, and this is one of the themes that you guys, as you go back to your bases and think about how you execute these projects, building this team of teams and work cross-functionally with other organizations. So here you have Tech Sergeant David Bass out of Travis Air Force Base, a C5 Loadmaster, partnering with AFRL GIFWorks program. GIFWorks is an incredible program that allows you to get PhD level support for your base level efforts. So in that team from AFRL, JD Bales, Jason Wolf, and First Lieutenant Garrett Banner. And the idea was a new scanner seat for the C5 crews.
All right. And then number 5 here, we have Master Sergeant Luis Lusco and Staff Sergeant Matthew Vernoy. And they're out of the 6th Maintenance Squadron out of MacDill Air Force Base. So they have an enclosed trailer right there you see in the picture that would hold all the equipment required for open fuel tanks, maintenance, making service tasks more efficient.
All right, and last and not least, we have Captain David Martin. Captain Martin's idea out of Joint Base McGuire was how do we effectively track our assets on the airfield. So he wanted to use some modern technologies, some GPS tracking in order to see where these teams were, vehicles were, so that they can better support and generate more sorties on the flight line. Also reducing manpower and improving safety. So please give a round of applause for our 6 semifinalists.
And now, we will bring up our celebrity judges. So first off, give me a warm welcome for, she's not just our AMC commander, and she's not just in charge of our command, and with 37 years of experience, she has experience as a small business owner. She's an entrepreneur at heart. Please give me a warm welcome for General Miller. And next up, our second celebrity judge out of Air Combat Command. You're going to see a lot of our projects that we have here. They cross-function across the entire MAGCOM. They also go out to other MAGCOMs. A lot of these solutions can be applied across the entire Air Force, and so that's why we brought in General Mobile Holmes from Air Combat Command.
Thanks for joining us, sir.
I'll keep announcing. Here we go. And then And then also, to give the enlisted perspective, you're going to see our 4 innovators are all enlisted airmen. And so representing our enlisted force, our command chief, give me a warm welcome for Chief Williams, Chief Larry Williams. And finally, we have a celebrity guest judge. It's a special judge. She is from industry. She is a Air Force veteran out of Space and Missile Center and Air Force Space Command. She is the president of Vox Space. That is a subsidiary to Virgin Orbit. And you're going to see them over this next year take a Boeing 747 with a rocket on it and launch it into space. And we're starting to develop those relationships with her company. She's also on the board for Vice President Pence for developing future space development for our United States of America. Please help me welcome Mandy Vaughn.
All right, wow. I mean, this is an incredible group of judges that we have. Thank you so much, ma'am, sirs, for joining us today. So the rules for today's competition. So our 4 individuals, our 4 finalists, are gonna have 3 minutes to pitch the ideas to our esteemed panel of judges. After the 3 minutes, there's gonna be 3 minutes of questions and answers as directed by our panel. And then there's finally going to be a 3-minute session where you're going to be able to analyze and talk about the idea to see if it's something that sparks your interest. And so with that, we're going to get started. All right, so our first up, out of Little Rock Air Force Base, out of the 19th LRS, we have Staff Sergeant Travis Alton, whose idea, and this is a long one, so I have to read this one directly, is an M1 cargo parachute release timer failsafe. So with that, Travis Alton.
It's locally known as the Alton block, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So Travis, the floor is yours. 3 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished panel, I'm requesting policy backing to save the DoD millions of dollars in aerial delivery damages. My approach is to fix a critically known design flaw with a simple piece of plastic. For less than $1, I can ensure the embattled warfighter gets their resupplies on time and on target.
Come on, fly with me. Let's take off in the blue. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed.
What you just saw was not due to a human error, rather an engineering defect. This is how the device is supposed to work. The time block will drop, roughly 12 to 16 seconds after the load has exited the aircraft. The time block will drop, and then the parachutes will release from the load once the load has hit the ground. On the right, you can see the M1 block, or M1 device that we currently use, alongside the over-engineered digital solution that they've come up with that they're currently testing in the aerial delivery community. By the way, the one on the left is roughly $20,000, 4 times that of the mechanical one that we currently use. My solution will cost 50 cents per airdrop. It is a simple plastic block that fits underneath the timing block, physically limiting the timing block from releasing early. Due to the fact that I've designed and 3D printed these at home, we feel it'll be easy to tweak the design as we test in the field. This is how the design is supposed to work. The piece will fit in the M1 device underneath the timing block, and once the load has exited the aircraft, the parachute will inflate and the Alton block will break away, as you can see. As the Alton block breaks away, this allows the timing block to operate as it was designed to. It's simply a fail-safe. In the unlikely event that the piece does not break away, the parachutes simply don't release, but the load still floats safely to the ground. The cost to benefit ratio is a no-brainer. As you can see, this piece has the potential to eliminate all airdrop malfunctions caused by this faulty timing mechanism. At the end of the day, for less than $1, we can save millions. But let's think further than that. Think about the warfighter downrange that is relying upon the Humvee, the howitzer, or the ammo to save their lives downrange, right? Wouldn't it be a shame if their cargo was destroyed because they didn't have this $1 block installed? Thank you for your time, and I hope you see the value in implementing this product.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right. So now to our distinguished panel, we'll open it to questions.
Those are yours to keep, by the way. Just don't, try to sell them. Offline.
That's great.
Okay, so super fun to begin with, but I think one question I have regarding testing. So once you get this thing out in the field, how will you test it to make sure that this is actually freeing appropriately? And as a veteran of over 700 skydives myself, I understand the value of you don't want a premature extraction from the aircraft either. So how will you guarantee safety of the aircraft and the crew in the event of this getting stuck as well?
So this cannot cause any type of malfunction. Like I said, if it doesn't release, the parachutes simply don't release from the load, but the load still floats safely to the ground. It is literally incapable of causing another malfunction. We have function tested it. Obviously, we haven't dropped it from a plane yet. We're working with Natick right now. They're actually coming to Little Rock in November, and we've had the approval to put GoPros on our heavies, or our heavy platforms, and with that, we'll be able to see exactly when it extracts and fine-tune it the way we need to.
All right, so I'm always impressed when somebody wants to be the master of their craft and to study this. So what I'm curious about is, did you wake up in the middle of the night and think about this? Just can you get me to how you looked at this piece of equipment? I mean, obviously seeing something do a high impact to the ground, but how did you look at this piece of equipment and then come up with this thing? And were there roadblocks along the way that really, really stopped you? Because we really want to push innovation, and so if there's those things we can help you out with, but really just curious of how did you get to this point?
Yes, sir, great question. I was at the Malfunction Review Board, which is really just a meeting of the minds of all the riggers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. And we go over all the malfunctions that's happened in the last, it's a triennial, so in the last 4 months or so. I was sitting there, and this is my first time I've ever been there. I'm sitting there, and we're going, okay, another timing block malfunction, it burned in. Another timing block malfunction, burned in. Another timing block malfunction, burned in. And I started asking questions like, what is going on here? Why is no one trying to fix this? We talked to the manufacturer who makes the timing block. They're saying, we haven't changed anything. It still works the way, we still manufacture it the way it's supposed to. So I'm just racking my brain about it, and I was talking to my buddy, and went back to my hotel room, and just sitting there thinking about it. And so I hopped on my computer, and I was thinking, well, rather than over-engineering something like what they're trying to do right now, what if we go back to the basics and try to limit the actual piece, or the actual block, from releasing early? So I'm thinking, well, put something in there, right? Well, I hop on my computer, and I get in the CAD, and I design this in about 2 hours or so, and I pitch it to my coworkers that I was at the MRB with. They said, holy crap, don't tell anybody. Somebody's definitely going to steal it. So I went home, got home that Sunday. I already had one 3D printed, and we started function and tested it the next day.
All right, and so that concludes the question and answer panel. If you could discuss, analyze, is this sparking your interest?
So as a guest, I look at this and I go, The typical government response would be to build something for $15,000 that does this. And we built this for 50 cents or $1, and one of our NCOs did it on his own with his own tools and his own computer and approached it. You know, I would wonder the testing, as you said, and how fast can you get to the testing, and will there be some modifications that have to be made in testing, but it certainly sparks my interest.
Certainly sparks my interest.
Okay.
All right, so overwhelming. All right, well, thank
time.
you very much, Staff Sergeant Travis Holton.
All right. Oh, you guys are good.
Great job. Thanks.
That's funny, yeah. We're ready to go. All right, we'll announce our next contestant. The 92nd Maintenance Group, Fairchild Air Force Base near Spokane, Washington. Help me give a warm welcome for Tech Sergeant Sean Roberge. And his idea, the KC-135 nose landing gear door lock. Yeah, that works. All right, go kill. Okay.
Again, hello, my name is Tech Sergeant Sean Roberge. I've been in the Air Force 12 years now. I'm the Section Chief of the Aircraft Structural Maintenance Section at Fairchild. My section is responsible for all structural component repairs of the KC-135. I'm asking the Air Force today to implement my new KC-135 nose door lock device fleet-wide as to cut repair costs and man hours that could be refocused to additional areas. Having 12 years experience on the KC-135 aircraft, you begin to notice problematic trending areas of repair. One area in particular is the constant requiring repairs of nose landing gear door fuselage skin. Approximately 2 years ago, I was working this exact repair for the 100th time that actually stopped and looked at what was causing the problem. Further investigation revealed that during towing operations of the aircraft, the nose landing gear doors are required to be held in the closed position for visibility reasons. The method of holding the doors in place was by closing the doors manually and then looping a web belt around the closed doors. It was this procedure that was causing unnatural stresses to the door corners, eventually distorting them enough over time to catch on the lower aircraft skin, causing a significant amount of damage, downtime, and warranting repairs. To be exact, the single repair cost of to the Air Force is an average of $3,600 each time the repair is accomplished. Historical data was pulled utilizing GEO81, a web-based aircraft maintenance record database of a sampled 18 aircraft. This online record showed that this area of the sampled aircraft had been repaired a total of 19 times in 2017 alone. That's right, this repair was accomplished on 100% of the sampled aircraft. With that sampling, you can calculate an average total savings to the Air Force's active, guard, and reserve KC-135 fleet of roughly $1.5 million annually, as well as restoring over 18,000 hours of aircraft availability to CONUS, OCONUS, and the deployed theater. It was all this information that drove me to create a solution to this problem. With all the information considered, I knew I needed to create a tool that would hold the doors in place without causing unnatural stresses to any of the components. My first prototype was simply a plate connected to a bungee cord, as you can see in front of you. This design was proven to be insufficient, but I knew I was heading in the right direction. With my second prototype, I wanted to design a device utilizing steel and wanted a single-piece device, making it tough enough to hold up to constant use. This design was to place the device in the wheel well of the aircraft, resting on either side. The doors would be closed manually and the locking arm would be lifted and rotated, holding the doors in place by sitting on the locking arm, as you can see. I field tested this device with end users, and the feedback was astonishing. They simply loved the tool and the idea, but did not like the bulkiness of it. I took this information and went back to the drawing board. My third and final design was to still utilize the locking features of the prior prototype, but to consider size and weight as its features. So I swapped the steel with aircraft aluminum, cutting the weight by 75%. Additionally, I designed a center pivoting head so the device could be folded into a fraction of the size. I again field tested it and gave it to actual crew chiefs. Let me go back here.
There, you got it. You got it. You're good.
Okay.
It's just slow.
Oh, we'll move on. I again field tested it and gave it to actual crew chiefs, where the response was absolute amazement. They loved it. It was lightweight, easy to install, and could be installed in a fraction of the time than the current web belt process. So what I've said comes down to this. To adopt this device, the savings to the Air Force will be constant as we keep depending on the KC-135 more and more. As it comes to innovation, this idea is exactly this. By empowering individuals to look at current processes and constantly thinking of better, more efficient ways of doing things is exactly what brings innovation to the Air Force.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Judges. Great job. Judges, you have 3 minutes. Please ask questions.
So it looks like you've thought this through and had a chance to work through several versions of the prototype. The question I have is, are you pretty satisfied that this piece in the middle is not going to do any damage to the doors?
So yeah,
When they're held closed?
it's roughly 2 years in the makings. I've looked up all historical data on how long the repair has been done. I'm having performed this personally over 100 times. So with the piece in the middle, it's within the limits of the TO specifications that we have for the gap that's allowed to be there. So at no point will it cause further damage to the aircraft. I've had questions about what about inadvertent pressurization of the system? How much damage could that cause? The risk factor of this one versus the web belt would be minimal. So with the web belt installed, if there's system pressurization, it would do more damage than if this one was installed. So the Air Force buys less of a risk with this device as opposed to the other one.
No, I think this is a pretty elegant design. I think your in-field survey is quite telling that your inspection showed that damage on all the aircraft.
Right.
So my question is, okay, so have you thought through some of the other abilities in terms of the TOs and other training things that will have to change, and how would you roll that into your schedule for implementing this out in the field?
So I wanted to create as less impact to the Air Force as possible, because nothing is more annoying than a design change coming down to the end users, and the person that designed it had no clue what they were doing. So that's why I worked hand in hand with crew chiefs in the field testing of this device. So a little impact to the Air Force. We talked about, okay, let's say, there's 3 ways we can get this on the aircraft. Either we can hard mount these on each aircraft, but you got to talk 431 135s. It would be too much of a cost, I believe. We could put it in all the tow kits, but then you're talking about killing man hours to redesign all these tow kits. So I think the most feasible solution to that would be put them with each tow vehicle, each base, depending on how big they are. You've got 2 to 4, 5 possibly. So you're only making 5 per base, and you need a tow vehicle to tow, and you would need this to tow as well. So you're talking about making a minimal amount. So that's kind of like the route we wanted to go with it.
All right. Any more questions? Okay. All right, so let's give it a little more time. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a spark? What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the Toyota way, or the way people have gone with improving the way they achieve efficiency and things that they're doing, one of the things they do is they allow their people to make their own tools that streamline the process and save time and effort so that they can make more Toyotas. In this case, it's so that you're spending less time on the repairs and you're not generating work for the sheet metal guys. The command chief of Air Combat Command is a sheet metal guy, and I know he would love this.
Oh,
so I'm in for him.
Well, I'm a sheet metal guy too. I corrected the repair problems and inadvertently corrected a problem of install, because installing the belts is a pain. So, perfect.
Awesome. More? Okay. All right. Sean, thank you. Great job.
All right, so up next, we have out of MacDill Air Force Base, Florida, from the 6th Maintenance Squadron, Technical Sergeant Eric Holton, who's created the first ever KC-135 engine maintenance platform stand. Welcome, Eric Holton.
Yeah, absolutely. Go get it. Try it. Hello? Yep, you're good. Can you guys hear him? Yep, you got it.
Good afternoon, everyone. AMC, distinguished panel. Today, I'm here to ask for $821,000 to revolutionize aircraft engine maintenance practices.
There's a delay. It's okay.
We'll wait for the delay.
Try one more time.
So the problem that we're facing as aerospace propulsion technicians is that the current use of ladders is insufficient. Safety protocol directed in AFI 91203 dictates that we cannot step above the second rung of the ladder. And what that does, as you can see in the pictures, is it inhibits you from safely reaching the 12 o'clock position of the engine. Additionally, there's other restraints posed within 91203, such as you have to use a tote bag. So I don't know if any of you use a ladder at home, but I certainly don't use a tote bag when I'm at home to lift my tools up and down to the position. Also, it's very time-consuming moving the ladder and adjusting it to the different positions. And we also have to constantly make sure that our feet are free of slippery substances. So I've collaborated with some engineers, VSS Logistics, partnered with All Metal, and we have developed the first KC-135 specific engine maintenance stand. So this stand's going to be OSHA compliant. It's going to have an anti-slip platform. It's got a kick plates. It's got corrosion spark resistant material because we'll be working with open fuel lines. But the biggest thing about this is its ergonomic design is going to allow all personnel to reach all portions of the motor during periodic inspections or hard brakes. Additionally, one of the big innovative features of this stand is it's actually going to have a breakaway joint in the center, so the stand can be utilized for both the inboard and outboard positions of the motor. So we've already purchased 2 of these stands. They're due in next month. We used our SIF funds of fiscal year 18, so we're very excited to finally get them. There's currently no technology based on my research that's going to sufficiently rectify this dilemma, either private sector or military. And if we implement these stands, it's going to eliminate any of the associated safety deviations and unsafe maintenance practices, while finally giving our maintenance technicians the mobility to access all areas of the motor, saving countless hours. So this could be broken down into 3 different phases. My ask originally was for 2 each stands for all active duty KC-135 bases. The second phase would be looking at the potential implementation into guard and reserve units. And the last phase would be taking this to the drawing board and seeing what applicability we can find for multiple airframes throughout the Air Force. So we as maintainers work hard. We come from a culture of perseverance and pride, but we complain. I don't know if there's maintainers out there, they complain. They complain. So what I want to do, I want to finally create this spark within the maintenance world. And I think it's a testament that we have 3 maintainers out of the four finalists up here. And please help me revolutionize the aircraft, the maintenance field, and to just build this culture. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Eric.
Good job. You guys killed it.
So with that, panel, move it over to you for questions and answers.
So we see a lot of things, and from being a former maintainer myself, I understand this dilemma, and you talk about perseverance and doing those kind of things. So what I'm curious about, this was born out of necessity, And did you take any informal data? Because I know no maintainer in the world has ever stepped above that second rung, right? Or done anything like that, myself included. Did you take any informal data on how often people actually have to do that and violate that tech data to go get something done on an airplane? And then on the other side, along with that, have you seen injuries or stuff that you've seen in your units and those kind of things? And because I'm assuming that's kind of what generated this idea for you.
Yes, sir. So I've seen DSVs related to it, and I guess the main thing we're going to be using those for would be periodic inspections, because you have to reach the 12 o'clock position to access the cowl mount bolt on the inlet cowl, and you also have to access that position when you're doing an engine change as well. So the idea of having a full stand, though, just like we've already implemented stands within the periodic inspection docks, and those are $1 million a pop, but they forgot about jet troops. So it's going to really streamline the maintenance practices, and I mean, really, we're going to be able to train on the forward section where we weren't able to do that before, to actually take an airman up there with you to show them what they're going to be doing. So it's kind of got a multifaceted impact.
Have you done the thinking to see if it would be applicable to the TF-34 engines on the 707 airframes that ACC operates, knowing there are different heights? Is it adjustable, or would you have to redesign it?
Yeah, so the TF-33s are going to be a little smaller, and the clearances are very tight on this when going between the cowl hold open rods. So it's going to be the same concept, but slight modifications in size.
One question I had on the rollout of this, when you go to implement it beyond just one base, what about locally sourcing? This is something that looks like in neighborhoods around each of the big bases, rather than having to ship these things around with the aircraft. Could you locally source them?
Yes, ma'am. We could. This specific design has been patented by All Metal, the company that created it. But when I sent out the statement of objectives for this in GSA, I really didn't get much feedback, but the floor was open. You know, I had in my mind, I told them this is what I wanted, but really the floor was open for any sort of engineers to develop what they thought, and they will be able to sell rights to manufacturers to develop their engineered product as well.
So is a lot of the cost in the material used? Is there a cheaper material that's just as strong, that gets to the requirement?
Yeah, well, aluminum prices have gone up, and that's what they're telling me. And we have to have a spark-resistant material if we're going to utilize it within an open fuel area. So there is potential for cheaper, and in fact, at the expo yesterday, I was talking to the stand guys that are there, and I showed them the picture, and I said, rough estimate, what could you do this for? I gave him the dimensions, I said something similar, and he said we could probably do around 30 grand a pop. So there's definitely the potential to decrease the cost of the stand, but currently that's what we spend at MacDill, and I think once we roll out a product line, it's going to dramatically decrease the price per unit.
All right. Well,
does this solve your tote bag problem?
I'm sorry?
Does this solve your tote bag problem?
Yes, it solves the tote bag problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. So, panel, if you could, does this spark an interest for the panel? Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Great job.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our last presentation. The 437th Maintenance Squadron, Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina. Please help me welcome Tech Sergeant Alex Aguayo. All right, brother. All right, his idea is a landing gear wheel paint stand.
All right, good morning. Today I'd like to talk to you about the landing gear paint stand that we have created in Joint Base Charleston. I'd like to first off introduce my team, Tech Sergeant McLeod, Mr. Childress, and myself. This would have not happened if it was without them. So we're asking for a budget of about $2,000 to fabricate each components or everything that comprised the entire assembly in order to paint wheels. We found ourselves in a problem that we needed to paint more wheels, but I'd like Sergeant McLeod on the following video to explain you some more.
Hi, I'm Jess McLeod from 437 Maintenance Squadron. Today we'd like to talk to you about the C-17 maintenance wheel stands. You see here, this was the old process that we used to paint the wheels at. You paint one side, wait 12 hours for it to cure, then have to flip it and repaint it. With our new process, you can see this here. You get a 360-degree rotation, and we're able to paint the stand in one pass. How we do this, we took a recycled wheel bearing that we got from AR and a table, and we attached it, set the wheel on top, and he secured down with another wheel bearing, giving it extra protection from falling over. This process alone has made us able to paint more than 525 more wheels this year. Also, it keeps our airmen from being exposed to hazardous materials more than once a day.
We're looking at a broad level of benefits. Production time drastically reduced. We're going to reduce the airmen that are exposed to hazards, such as lifting hazards, moving wheels around, and exposed to hazardous materials to paint the wheels twice. But also, we get to have the wheels perfectly secured to a proven surface, to a proven area that will allow all the work to be done in one step without having to move the wheel around and risking damage to the piece of equipment that is definitely very expensive. There's a lot of people who can benefit from that. Not just AMC bases, but also any base that overhaul wheels. The shops that are gonna get the most benefit out of it is gonna be their aircraft metals technology shop, the wheel and tire shop, and the structural maintenance shop, also known as sheet metal, because they're gonna be the ones painting the wheels. So if we incorporate this AMC-wide and Air Force-wide, we're looking at a huge improvement on our wheel overhauling capability. And right now, Joint Base Charleston has led the way by painting over 425 wheels till date, since March, since we incorporated this process. And we have returned about $7.9 million worth of assets back into service. With this, I'd like to open the floor for questions.
All right, judges, if you have any questions, we'll ask Alex now.
To export this idea to other airplanes, you just have to have a bearing that matches a wheel from the other airplane and mount it on the same table. And
Yes, sir.
is that the idea? Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
I think this is just so elegantly simple. Just when I even read your proposal, it's like, duh, this is awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we give another 3 minutes here for you guys to tell me if it's spark or not. I think it's kind of unanimous. Yeah. All right. Hey. Okay. All right. Let's give him a round of applause. Good job, Alex.
Thank you.
Good job, brother.
Thanks.
All right. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take this time actually to let our judges collaborate. I think they might need a lot of time actually, because all four of those were pretty amazing. And while we do that, I'm just going to talk a little more about innovation and what we're trying to do here within the entire Air Force and Air Mobility Command. So I wanted to share, right now we have started Phoenix Spark cells, if you will, at Travis, at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, and at McConnell. And if you have an idea out here and you want to get it looked at by your leadership, potentially even staff, please submit it. And you can submit it through the Air Force AFWorks Idea Scale portal. And through that portal, it's going to enable you to share ideas. It's going to enable you to start building a network amongst other airmen throughout Air Mobility Command and potentially actually other MAJCOMs out there like ACC. And as you saw, a lot of those solutions, those definitely could be implemented in AFSOC. It could be implemented in ACC and Global Strike and absolutely downrange. So this is kind of a moment here. If you have an idea, or if this really sparks your interest, if you will, or you want to start building a culture of innovation within your wings, there's no time to button out to get started. And so after this whole presentation, you guys are cleared up hot to come up to the stage and talk to Tony, myself, and one of my captain, Captain Jay Hodgkin, and we'll tell you more. We also wanted to announce that AFWorks is holding a Spark Cell workshop in December in Austin, Texas. It's in Austin on the 13th and 14th, and it's hosted by AFWorks. The last one they had, it had 28 bases there and 7 MAGCOMs represented. There's about 300 people. So it's a phenomenal opportunity to network because it takes a lot of there's a lot of people that would really be able to help you, and there's this really a big innovation culture that's developing throughout the whole Department of Defense between AFWorks, Defense Innovation Unit. All these organizations are popping up in places like Silicon Valley, Austin, Boston, etc. So this is a phenomenal opportunity, and the best way is take your idea and try to shoot that up your chain of command. And please network. All right. And so with that, I also wanted to share with you. You guys want to hear who the winners are? Sorry, we're going to give you some suspense here. If you've ever seen Homeland, or if you've ever seen any of those shows that make you wait to the next episode, I hate to tell you, we're gonna make you wait. We're gonna make you wait until General Miller's keynote. So please come back, be in seats at. It's gonna be at 2:55. That's 14:55 this afternoon to hear the winners. And also wanted to plug, we're gonna have a guest speaker come in as well to help present. I'll tell you what, you're not gonna want to miss this. So stay tuned. And I wanted to thank Tony Perez here from AFWorks, my good friend. He did a great job. And we can't wait to see more of this throughout the Air Force. So we wanted to say thank you.
All right, and thank you very much, Nate. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. And come back for General Miller's address to see who the winner is. So thank you very much. Enjoy lunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sir Richard Branson.
It is so awesome to have you here, sir. It is so awesome.
Thank you.
So what we'll do is, so if we can have the winners or the finalists from the Spark Tank competition from earlier today come to the stage, please.
Well done. Thank you. Pleasure. Well done.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Right. Nice day. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And if we could have the runner-up envelope, please. So Richard, if you'd announce.
Okay. So the runner-up of the Air Mobility Command Phoenix Spark Tank is Technical Sergeant Sean Roberge, KC-135, nose landing gear door. Lot really high. Well done. Thank you very much. So I was told the quality of all these prizes was astoundingly good. So, okay, and the winner is for the M1 Cargo Parachute Release Assembly fail-safe Staff Sergeant.
Congratulations. Congrats, guys. We're gonna implement what you guys have. It's just we're gonna send him on forward. Okay, but we're going to go after each one of what you guys are doing. Okay. Thank you all.
Staff Sergeant Travis Alton. I couldn't get his name in. Well done. Great.
Thanks, guys.
Would you like to keep this?
Thank you.
Here you go. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.